studio. We're working with a little cauldron here, and it looks like we're making skeleton soup. This is a really fun project. I had so much fun. I also made a bigger version, and you can just do whatever you want to make it your own. Let's get started. I found my little cauldron this year at Walmart. They kind of different years. You also can look at your thrift stores, and so depending on the size that they come in, you can make them fit your project. The first thing I wanted to do though is take a paper plate, one that's kind of got a seal on it instead of one that doesn't. This one, our silicone would go right through, so we're not going to use that. If you have something else you want to use instead, that's fine. I had my paper plates and they're kind of bendable, so I'm going to take my pencil or pen and draw around it really well here so I can see it, and then we're just going to simply cut that out. Once we've cut our circle out, we're going to go ahead and fill up the bottom with something to make it heavy. Whether you use rocks, I have some gravel, you can use some sand. You just don't want it top heavy. So just enough that it sits nice and full. And then we're going to finish filling this up with paper, or you could even use your plastic bags from the grocery store, and then we're going to set our circle on top. Now this circle is going to go down a little bit because we need room for our bones to stick in, so that's the reason we're doing it this way. And just get that evened out here. Okay, once we have that done, we're going to cut up our little skeleton guys. And I picked up my little skeleton guys, my glitter vase fillers, and my candlestick, all at Dollar Tree. A lot of the dollar stores have them as well. And we're just going to take our wire cutters and we're going to cut this guy into pieces. So, because you can't put the whole thing in here. I do have another video with a smaller cauldron where it looks like he's taking a bath, and that's a lot of fun, so check that one out as well. But we're going to just give him all these little pieces like somebody's been put in to the cooking pot. And you can decide if you want his head sticking out. If you do, see how big this piece is? I kind of did the neck and the head separate from the rib cage. And you can use that piece or not use that piece. You can use as many or as little as you want to. If you had a bigger cauldron, you could get a bigger skeleton. So we kind of have this in pieces now. So we've got that ready to go into our pot. What we're going to be using today to make our brew, we're going to be using silicone. And I'm going to be using Alex Plus. It is a latex caulk. You find it near the paint section. I find it in Walmart for less than $2. White, not gel. White. That's real important. And I'm going to start out with not coloring it. And I'm going to put it into a caulk gun. And this is really, I had a hard time squeezing my other one. And I went on and found some that we could carry at miriamjoy.com because this is so much simpler. It squeezes so much easier. And then when you're done and squeezing it and trying to pull it out, you don't even do that. You just pull this straight out and put your new one in. And we'll talk about sealing it up here in just a second on why we've got the bag over the top of it. So once you've got it into your gun, this first layer, I'm just going to kind of seal the bottom part of our cauldron with just one all the way around. And we could even come in and do this a little bit more because we don't have the color on yet, and this part's not going to show. And we'll mix that color in just a minute. But you need that low enough that we can stick all the bones onto that. I do keep a wet towel and use it to wipe the caulking off with and everything. And it, if you wash it or wring it out before it's dry, then it doesn't stick in your cloth and you can use it again. Now we're going to go ahead and make our color. So I'm going to go ahead and put some in. I'm just using an old whipped cream container, and I'm going to put in as much as I think. You're going to have to kind of learn how to adjust for this, and I think that's more than enough. Our caulk gun is also dripless. Now, to save this for next time, and I have saved it for months at a time, we're just going to take, I use a plastic bag. You could use some saran wrap doubled over. I just put that right on the end, and I seal it up with my rubber band, and I have kept it for months. I've almost had one a year. And if anything, if it was a little bit crusty, you just get rid of that part and start fresh. So it lasts a long time, and I'm using that in a lot of projects. So on this one, I wanted to try orange this time. I've got my purple one here. I love the purple. I've got the bigger green ones. We have a video on those. But I wanted to try different colors, not just the green. And I picked my food coloring up at Walmart. I have tried different inks, and we'll be using some alcohol inks later on, and dyes and all kinds of things. And I found that when it's coming to doing this, coloring this, the food coloring are the most concentrated, therefore they give us the best color without using so much. And this is my orange. And I did pick that up again at Walmart. So we're just going to kind of mix our orange in. And you don't have to mix it all the way up yet, because we're going to also water this down just a little bit. I want it just a little bit darker here. And I'm just using a popsicle stick to stir it with. Okay, so once we've got that kind of stirred, I am going to start adding water to it, and a little bit at a time. We want this thin enough that it kind of will move by itself, but not so thin that it runs everywhere. So I just go to the Dollar Tree and buy my different, I have a whisk that we're going to use here, but a spatula and all of these different things, and I do not go back and forth with them in my kitchen. I stick with them just in one place. And I really think I want to try this just a little bit darker even yet. A little bit oranger to get more of that Halloween orange color. Okay, so now that I've got it smooth, I'm going to put a little bit more water in it. And I'm going to use my whisk this time. Oh, I think that was a little bit too much. And just finished getting that all the way I want it. And if you have to do this in twos, and I may have to, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's all, by the time we get done, it's all going to blend in a little bit together anyway. I want to put my styrofoam balls, which are our bubbles, and we use the fillers. And I have a couple of different sizes of these in this bag. I'm going to do some bigger ones and a couple of smaller ones. And we don't want to overdo it on our little piece here, but you want enough that you can see it. And then we're just going to coat those as well. And we're going to pour that in. We're going to start moving that around. I still have some in there that I'm going to use in a minute here. Cover up all of our white. We want to get these bubbles in different places, not just one place. And we want those covered really well. Got a couple right in there still. And I want to do one more bubble. Okay, so we're going to start squishing our little body pieces in. And I kind of did like this little breast piece first because he kind of takes up the biggest area. And I kind of want my skeleton where I can see him. So we're going to put him somewhere good where he shows up nice. And our feet. Got our little hands. And then I have these little extra bone pieces. And one end will look better than the other, so if you kind of stick those out a little bit, it looks better. Okay, so we've got that nice and covered. Now what I'm going to do is add just a tiny bit more water to this, just to make this a little bit more liquidy. I don't know if I added too much here again with this rest. And I'm going to put it into a frosting bag. Just a clear disposable frosting bag. We're going to pull the sides down. And we're going to pour the rest of it in here. And I'm going to use my spatula and get it all in here as much as I can. Now that I've got that in, I'm going to cut the tip as big. You start out smaller because you don't want it too big. I would like about twice of what I have in here, so I may have to do some more. So we'll kind of check that in a minute. But what we're going to do is just kind of clean this all up. Make sure that all your little black glitter balls are covered, so you don't see any of that black, and turn it around. Make sure of that. And then we're going to start dripping some over the sides. So it looks like that it's boiling over. And I would like this guy right here full up to the edge. On that side it is, but it's not on this side. So we'll take a look at that in a minute here. Oh, I think we're gonna have plenty. The handle is kind of a pain on these, so think about that. And I move these, once they start drying and they're dripping, I move them to another plate to get them out of the gunk. So that's one thing to remember as well. You can put this anywhere you want it, on any of your bones. Don't make this even. Try to make it a little bit odd. I'm also going to put a little bit of this on my candle stick. And we're going to also color him too, so we're not going to worry about him too much here. I want some coming down on him, just a couple of places or sides. I'm probably going to have it just a 3 or 4 spots here, and that's more than enough. By the time we get our other color in there, it'll be great. And you could use just that if you wanted to. I'm going to use some alcohol inks to color the brew, but you don't have to. I'll start out with glitter and kind of show you how to use that, and you could do just the glitter if that's all you had, or you could use food coloring too and just kind of put it through with a toothpick. So I'm kind of filling that hole up right there. So we've got that all nice and bubbly. So I'm going to take a minute and clean off my utensils. I rinse out my throwaway bags and use them again. If you want to throw them away, you can. You want to be careful with the silicone. You don't want to put silicone chunks down your sink and plug up your pipes, so just think about that. But other than that, it cleans up with warm water and soap. So we're going to add some glitter to our little bubbles, and this starts giving dimension to our little pot here. And I like to add some black to them. I think it really kind of gives them that dirty, bony, spooky kind of feel. I think that really helps kick that off. And then I'm going to do a couple of octagon little glitters. Still just sticking with the bubbles. You can find the little glitters for sale a lot of times in nail places that sell nail supplies. Okay, so I'm going to finish highlighting the rest of this part after we add some color to him. And this is where I'm going to bring in my colors. And this is alcohol inks. You find your alcohol inks in your scrapbook section. And the great thing about alcohol inks is they really bleed out. You can use whatever colors you want to. And I'm going to kind of just start playing with it. And we also can use a little bit of 91% rubbing alcohol. And when you put that on, or you spray it first and then put it on, it really bleeds everywhere. So there's so many fun things and techniques that you can do with the alcohol inks. And I like to use the silver to go around the bubbles to kind of have them stand out a little bit. That's actually pearl. That's okay. Sometimes I use the pearl on the top of the bubble. But what this kind of does is kind of sets our bubbles so they stand out. I'm just going to put some there. And I am going to use just a little bit of pearl. Now you don't want to get too carried away with your alcohol because you don't want this juicy and really kind of slimy. And you can use a toothpick and move it around or whatever you want to do. You also could put just a little bit on the top of the bubbles to highlight them, just however you think it should go. We're going to also come over, and I'm going to do just a tiny bit of black. And that came out more than I wanted it to. Here, it's coming off the sides. So, we'll put it on something and do it that way. I want to use the black in my candlestick. That's the reason I want to get the black in, because it makes it the Halloween colors. And we just don't need that much up here. Okay. Now we can start dripping down the sides as well. You don't have to do every one. You can do every other one and not make it even. It is totally up to you how you see this, how you want to do this. That's completely your decision. And if you want to have it go a little bit more, just hit it again with that alcohol ink and away it goes. This is so much fun. You can just do so much with it and just make it your own. I just really enjoy it. But look how soupy our middle part has gotten. And hit this just a little bit. And I wanted to hit it just a little bit on the inside. So I'm going to finish my glitter now. I wanted to do some highlighted edges around the edge of this. A little bit of white. And I've got some octagon glitter. I think I'm going to hit up in the black areas. And I am just plain. I really like the soupy look of it. There is no right or wrong. Just however you think this should go. Okay, I think I've got him pretty soupy there. And I'm going to let him dry just a little bit, and then I'll pick this up and I'm going to move him to a clean plate to let him dry. But while he's drying, we're going to work on the bottom of this. Now, because our cauldron is black, I want to do black, and I had the silver in it, and I had the darker orange in it, and I think this is Valencia orange. And then I have one other thing I want to put in there when I get done. I want to remember. And I'm just going to start trying to get this to come down different layers here. I love alcohol inks. I always say you can't screw them up. See if I've got much silver left here. The cool thing with silver is if you lay it into another color, it will kind of give you the silver lining. So that's really awesome. See how we've kind of got that kind of going there? So, got all these colors. And then my orange. And I'm probably going to kind of hit this one time with my alcohol just to kind of set it all in, I guess is what I want to say. So let's do that. Just, I'm going to be far away from it, not very close, and just kind of hit it. But see how it just gives it that kind of weathered look or something, I guess that is. The same thing with this. Once this dries a little bit, I'm going to pick it up. I didn't do the top right there and move it. I also wanted to add to this one some micro balls. And these are just little tiny round balls. And I think this will make it more soupy looking. I've got silver here, and I've got, they come in all kinds of different colors. Because isn't that cool? That even gives it, helps the bubbles and everything just kind of start to come to life. So yes, I really like that. I'll be adding that into my other ones as well. I think those are just really cool. Now, this is probably going to take a couple days to dry. It's going to depend on how warm it is, how humid it is. If you put it out in the sun to dry, it's going to dry faster. But that doesn't mean that you can't use it in the meantime, as long as the bottom part is dry, or if you want to set it on a little plate or container, you can do that as well. There's just let it dry really, really well. And I simply just took a little piece of ribbon. I know there's a name for these, and I can't quite think of. They kind of look like rhinestones, but they're not. And wrapped it around here, and I had a spider that I found that were rings this year at Dollar Tree, and I just cut off the ring part and glued that on with E6000. So this little guy I'm going to heat set to make sure his colors are all nice and set. So after it's dry really, really well, you want to spray it with Krylon, Rust-Oleum. You're doing your base, you want to really do a light, dry spray a couple of times, otherwise it runs. But on this project, if it runs, that's fine, so don't worry about it. And you could even use it this season and then varnish it, and that's okay, just so you can start enjoying it. But you want to varnish it to help keep your color and keep it good for years to come. Whether you want it satin, this is kind of a satin. I thought it was more matte, but it's really kind of a satin, so that's probably what I'm going to go with. Your glass, not much of it showing, so that's totally up to you on what you want to do, but do 2 or 3 coats of that. And then once this guy is dry on the bottom, you can glue him onto the base. Just simply put your E6000 on the top and make sure you center him before he gets dried all the way. I have an old E6000. We do carry E6000 at miriamjoy.com, as long as with the key as well. The key is really, really nice. We usually have a buy one, get one free special going, so that's something to think about. But the key, so you can move it up and you've always got your glue, because these there's so much glue in these, but if you don't keep moving them up, they can dry out. So that's a nice thing to use. But that is our little skeleton in here, our little cauldron. Isn't that fun? Just use your imagination, make it your own way. There's just so many ways you could do that. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed our project, and look for the big bubbling cauldron as well. And give us a thumbs up, like our videos, so that we can continue to go.